Hi guys, welcome back to my channel for another video if you are returning. Today I'm going to be talking about how to lead a life of purpose because I have been trying to implement this the past couple weeks of my life and honestly it's been benefiting me so much, so I decided to come on here and share that with you guys. That's essentially what inspired today's topic, so without further ado, let's get started. If you're seeking out a sense of purpose in your life, it might be potentially because you feel like you have been stagnant. It feels like you've been in the same place for the longest time. It feels like you're not moving and you're not sure what to do, which is exactly the state that I have tried to avoid in my life for so long because I think there's nothing worse than stagnation. You can be in a deep, deep level of discomfort and pain. That beats stagnation, and let me tell you why. Becoming stagnant in life, I think, is a very natural part of the process. The way that I like to think of it is if you think of somebody who's going to the gym, they have to exercise their muscles in order for them to grow. And the way that they're able to make them expand even more is if they surpass a certain limit. So they're in the gym every day, they're training the muscle over and over, but they're reaching a certain limit, and when they get to that limit, when they feel the burning sensation in their muscles, they don't stop, they go past that. So I like to think of life the same way because the reason that you're able to withstand more as you go further into the journey and harder things that you wouldn't have been able to handle before is because you're more equipped. You're equipped with more tools, you're equipped with more knowledge and wisdom, so now you can withstand more. And I'm saying all this to say that just because something works doesn't mean it cannot be improved. That's the mentality that you have to adapt when it pertains to this situation or when it comes to this area of your life. For a lot of people, the machine is fine just the way it is. It's enough for the machine to just be running. It doesn't need to be tweaked, modified. It doesn't need to be grander or more expensive. It's fine just the way it is, just because it's working. A lot of people are okay with just being safe and comfortable. That's enough for them. They don't want to lean into the discomfort. And then there's the top 5%, it's probably a little less now, who are actually, they thrive more in discomfort. And you know, those type of people, they're not aiming for safety and comfort. They're aiming for growth. Anything that will bring growth, they're gonna set their mind to and they're gonna go tunnel vision with. The one thing you have to make note of is that the cost of your new life is the death of your old one. Stop trying to bring pieces of your old life into your new life. It's not gonna work. In other words, you can't serve two masters. Trust me, I've tried. It doesn't work. Because I was trying so hard to hold on to things, I was never able to receive every single blessing that was meant for me, at least not to its fullest potential. Let me tell you, what's worse than having to deal with the pain of letting go is having to deal with the pain of staying in the exact same place. The exact same place you've always been and never moving. And if you don't believe me, trust me, one day you'll feel it. If you don't believe anybody else telling you that, one day you're going to experience it and you're going to realize that it's very true. On a path to purpose, on a path to living with more intention, you have to realize that what other people do has nothing to do with you. This was my greatest problem. This was my biggest downfall in my entire journey. This was my biggest thing. It's like anything that anybody else did, whether that was to me or just in their personal life that I didn't agree with or I didn't like, I always took it personally. And I'm just now getting around, like not until recently was I able to like become aware of that and start to implement ways to get out of it. And now I really feel like I'm getting there because I realized that it isn't about me. I think when it comes to certain things, it's amazing to think that you're at the center of the universe, to have more confidence in something and to grow to be a more elevated version of yourself. You need to have a level of delusion. You need to live in a reality where everything is possible and that you're the main character, because in your reality you are, right? But when it pertains to what other people are doing with their life, with their time, with their money, whatever it is, I don't know what it is, okay? You cannot be bothered by it. It's not about you. It's never about you. That's what I had to realize, is like, people go based on their life experiences and everything, so you have to stop taking things personally. Everything that people do says everything about their character and nothing about yours. About that for a second. It says nothing about you, and it says everything about their character, who they are, their morals, their values, the way they live their life. It says, like, they show you a blueprint of who they are on the inside based on the actions that they take and what they do. You can look at that and decide whether or not you want to be a part of that, and if that doesn't fit your reality, then you can make the decision to either not be a part of it or not be bothered by it. You know, observe, don't absorb. Observe what's happening, but don't absorb everything out of everything, because you're gonna get drained, you're gonna feel drained, you're gonna feel like you have nothing more to give. And the worst feeling you can feel is feel depleted. The thing is, my love, like, you can't be angry. You cannot be angry at anybody else because they're simply living their lives in a way that they were taught to live it best. They interpreted life in a way that made them believe that this was the better option, that taking this way out was the better option for them. And you did the same thing. Even if the person is yelling at you from across the street, if like strangers yell at each other sometimes, they cut you off in traffic, I don't know, it's not personal. They have a certain dialogue that runs through their mind every day, and you need to realize that a lot of the times it has nothing to do with you. And this was the biggest blessing for me to realize, because for me to think to myself like, oh, this person is doing this to deliberately hurt me, or this person is doing this because they know it makes me angry or whatever. But at the end of the day, when I started to realize, I was like, Roshani, it's not about you. It's not about you. This person, let them do what they want. Let them do what they want. If that person feels like this is the best decision for their life, let them. But for you, have peace in knowing that you're going on a level that a lot of people won't understand, but that makes you feel fulfilled always. Always it makes you feel fulfilled. Always it makes you feel beautiful and empowered. Really and truly, that's where I think I thrive in my life, when I'm not attached to what other people are doing and I'm only watching myself. Does that mean that you don't, you know, check other people when they slip up? Of course you do, but it's completely up to you to decide whether or not you want to take what they do with their lives personally. But please understand this. What's meant for you will never disrespect you, will never make you feel small, will never make you feel insecure, will never make you feel inferior, whatever it is. What's meant for you will always be easy, and what's meant for you will always fall to your feet. You don't even really have to try. It doesn't feel like trying at the end of the day. It feels so natural. When you're in a journey of so much purpose and you're living so intentionally, you're in a flow state. You're in a constant flow state, and you feel so filled with the highest form of energy. And it's really hard to describe to somebody who hasn't felt like that level of energy before, but it's not like it's unattainable. People are doing it. I'm doing it. You know, I've been doing it. But you know, it takes a lot. And that's why I always say, like, to grow is to suffer. To grow is to have to withstand certain things that is just not meant for everybody to go through, because some people simply cannot take the pain. Does that make you better than them? Absolutely not. It just means you're destined for something else. Your fate lies in something else. That's what I've come to terms with in my own life. I was like, I'm trying so hard to cope with life the way that everybody seems to be coping with life, but it's just not working for me. It's never worked for me, and I used to become so upset by that, because I was like, they look like they're effortlessly flowing through life. Let me tell you, they're not effortlessly going through life. And by coping mechanisms, I mean things that don't serve people. Straight off the bat, they do not serve you. Wasting your time away doing useless things. But that's the way that most people cope. I decided one day that I don't want to cope with things that way. I don't want to be that way. I don't want to live in that headspace. I don't want to live in that reality. I saw this quote the other day, and it said, let people live in whatever weird reality they made for themselves. And as harsh as that might sound to some people, it's the truth. And you know, it's funny, because when people say to you, like when you explain your goals or your ideas or whatever, sometimes they'll laugh, sometimes they'll doubt you, but most of all they'll say like, oh, but you really think it's possible that you can do that? You can't do that. But it's like, no, you can't. In your reality, you can't do it. And that's why you cannot imagine a reality in which someone will be able to achieve something that I just, like, achieve the level of things that I just described to you. I think that's the most disrespectful thing. And I want to say, first of all, get away from people who tell you that things are unrealistic. Get away from them. I cannot explain to you how dangerous it is to be around people who operate at that frequency, because most of the time they have very few things going for themselves. I'm never saying this to put people down. That's not what this is at all. I'm saying if you're somebody who knows that your place is elsewhere, you will always feel like the odd one out. I don't belong in this space. I don't belong doing these things. Like, if you feel like that constantly, it means that your calling is elsewhere. The higher you go, the more temptations you will encounter. Let me give you guys an example. My YouTube channel, I started a couple months ago, and I've been getting a couple brand deals here and there, management companies like reaching out to me, whatever. But the thing is, for me, the way that I interpreted that is know your worth. Because if I were to settle for these smaller companies that, yes, are undeniably, they're great companies, but if I were to settle for them, I would be sending to the universe that I'm greedy, because I just want whatever it's going to bring me, validation, money, a certain type of status, I don't know. It doesn't align with who I am. It doesn't align with my life. It doesn't align with, you know, if I find a company that I feel like I want to do a brand deal with, and a company is in alignment with who I am and my values and my morals and whatever, like, of course I would put them on my channel, because if I sell it to people, I would know that these people are getting good quality and good value out of something. But if I'm selling to people what I don't even believe in, then it's like I'm going against my nature, and on top of that, I'm not going to get blessed. Do you understand how it works? Like, I'm not going to get blessed with the greater things. I'm being patient. I'm waiting for a greater opportunity that's going to take me to the next level, and I won't have to do very much for it. That's just how it works. I didn't make the rules, but that's just how it works. You know, a very long time ago, when I was first deciding what I wanted to do after high school and things like that, my sister told me, she was like, Roshani, you don't need school, school needs you. And at that time I was walking around, I was like, yeah, I don't need school, she's right, like I don't, this is not going to teach me anything. But now I realize what she actually meant. I heard this quote, and I think it was from a Shaolin master, it's a really famous one, and he said that on his journey, it was very hard for me to do something that I did not see a purpose for. And I felt like that resonated with me so much, because anything that doesn't have a real purpose, anybody that doesn't play a real, like a genuine purpose, and they're not giving me life anymore, they're just taking away more than they're giving. For me personally, it's not something that I could stand for. It's not something that I could just simply let it be in my life and bleed into all other aspects of my life. It would make me so unhappy, and I know myself, it would make me so unhappy. So living intentionally and living with purpose, like my channel, is completely out of my intention to take people out of certain situations that maybe they don't know how to navigate by themselves. Because I know how hard it is to navigate these type of situations by yourself. It's very difficult, especially when you don't have the support and the right network around you to help you out of that. It's very difficult. But at the end of the day, if you're somebody who believes, you know what, it's like this for a while, but eventually I'm not going to feel like this, I'm going to heal. When you're in alignment, everything clicks, almost like when you put a key in a lock and everything, you hear the clicking sounds. It's the same way. It will be very effortless for you to make money. It will be effortless for you to look better. Literally, it will be effortless for you to meet the right people, because you are in alignment and you're not straying in different directions. You know, and you're demanding exactly what I want from the universe. You're asking for that blessing and you're aligning with it. So on your journey to living a more purposeful life, you have to understand that peace, your peace should be at the top of your priority list. It doesn't matter what it is. Everything else should fall right under. If you are willing to trade something so priceless, you can never put a price on peace, because it's that expensive. If you are willing to trade that for just about anything in return, you haven't made that mindset shift yet, at least. Because when you realize how valuable your peace is, and the fact that you can be around people who can sustain that peace, you can do day-to-day activities that sustain that peace, you can act with more intention to sustain that peace, you will never want to go back. So when someone offers you crumbles of something else, you're not going to take it. The Mastery of Love is such an amazing book. He was explaining a story about somebody who has a house full of so much food, like an abundance of food stocked up in the fridge, and bread and fruits on the table and everything. And then somebody knocks on the door and says, if I offer you a pizza slice, you have to trade me your entire house. You have to give me everything in your house, all the food. But if you do what I say, I will give you this pizza slice if you do what I say. I will give you this pizza slice if you obey to the person I want you to be, if you change into the person I want you to be. And the person, imagine the person standing at the door saying, I have an abundance of love. I have an abundance of all the amazing things in life. Why? In any reality, would I take crumbles of your love or whatever it is that you have to offer me and give up this abundance of everything? Give up my peace of mind. I give that up just for a little bit of your love, just for a little bit of whatever you have to offer. And this is in reference to, especially in relationships, when it's almost as if one person's the drug and the other person's the addict. And even in friendships, sometimes it works the same way. But in general, people are offering you the bare minimum. And because you can't stand on your own, because you can't see the love inside you, and because you haven't built an abundance mindset, and you're not living abundantly, because abundance is a state of mind. Money is a state of mind. Health is a state of mind. All of that will manifest physically. Don't trade that in for anything. It's not worth it, because it's going to take you further away from your path to purpose, to try to always feel like you have to give people everything of you, all that you have, just to receive nothing in return, barely anything in return. If you want an easy life, you have to make the hard decisions, and if you want a hard life, you have to make the easy decisions. If you're making impulsive decisions moment to moment, you're gonna have a hard life. Trust me, you're gonna have a hard life. If you're making harder decisions that take a lot to make, and it takes a lot out of you to become a person that even makes those decisions to begin with on a daily basis, you're going to have an easier life. In the sense that, yes, you're still going to have to work hard at yourself, but it brings you joy, it brings you pleasure, it gives you a sense of purpose. I always practice gratitude. Always practice gratitude. Even if I'm in my lowest states, there's always something to be grateful for, and if you can practice that, you will win. Because gratitude it vibrates on one of the highest frequencies of emotions. Because when you feel gratitude, I hear that you cannot feel anything else simultaneously. When you feel grateful, you only feel grateful, and everything is centered around those emotions, and I think that's so beautiful. And so I try to practice that every day. I write in my journal things that I'm grateful for, and even if I'll make a mental note, or I'll wake up in the morning and if I hear the birds chirping, I'll feel grateful for something as simple as that. And to most people, they are so lost in the world of noise that they don't acknowledge those things. Their mind is so busy, it's talking to them all day. Do this, A, B, and C. They have no space for clarity, but most of all, they have no space for presence. Trust me, if I were to pick, I would go through this, I would have everything in my life happen exactly the way that it happened up until this point, because I live with so much more intention and purpose now, even if it's taken me a long time to actually get here. It's just a beautiful orchestra. Your life is like the most beautiful orchestra. You have to understand that you're part of a grand design. Your life is so significant, but also very insignificant. So learning to enjoy the contrasts of life is what's gonna pull you to the next level. So take what you can from that. If you're kinder to yourself, if you show yourself more compassion, you will move through life more effortlessly. Let me be the living proof. Let everybody else who's done it before be the living proof. It works. It's real. This is the way to acknowledge who you are as a person and the purpose that you play in the role. You're part of a grand design, but what can you bring to the grand design? So that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for the love on the last video. It's so surreal to me. It's because I'm very grateful for being on YouTube and starting to do this to begin with, because it really makes me feel like I have a huge sense of purpose. So with that being said, I'm sending you guys so much love on your journey, and I'll see you guys in the next one.